Last but not least, please join me in welcoming Judge Dan Buckley. Many of you know Judge Buckley. He is the presiding judge of Los Angeles Superior Court. He's an outgoing member of the Judicial Council and just an all-around tireless judiciary member. Judge Buckley.
Thank you so much. I'm honored to be here this afternoon to present the Judicial Council's Distinguished Service Award to Tzedek. Let's start with a brief introduction by video.
Tzedek has provided free, comprehensive legal services for low-income people in Los Angeles for more than 40 years. It is now one of the nation's premier legal services agencies, serving more than 20,000 people each year in critical cases such as foreclosures, caregiver issues, and consumer fraud. In 2017, Tzedek has sponsored law clinics for undocumented California residents who fear being deported and are seeking help to protect their children and property.
So I'm so honored to give this presentation. I have to take advantage of being up here and recognize all the honorees. It's so impressive to hear about each of you, but I have to do a shout out to Judge Uhas and to Snorri. We are a much, much better court because of the two of you, and thank you for the great work you do for Los Angeles Superior Court. So I can't think of any entity, when one thinks about access to justice, that has touched the community of Los Angeles, the Court of Los Angeles, and most importantly, the people of Los Angeles, than Tzedek. As you heard, Tzedek, it was founded in 1974 as an evening storefront staffed entirely by volunteers to provide free legal services to the Fairfax district in Los Angeles. Its core values are, since day one, have been grounded in a central tenet of the Jewish law and teaching, Tzedek, Tzedek, Terov. Justice, justice, you shall pursue. And today, the justice pursued by Tzedek includes keeping families in their home, protecting seniors from abuse and real estate fraud, ensuring access to safe housing and legal wages, obtaining guardianships for children to stay in stable, safe homes, securing care for those with physical and intellectual disabilities. All of this, as you heard, to 20,000 people a year. For our court in 2007, Tzedek partnered with us to create a self-help conservatorship clinic. Today, over 70% of the filings in the conservatorship court are handled by the Tzedek. And of those, 85% are successfully obtaining a conservatorship. That could be your great aunt, your own parent that's struggling and needing a conservatorship. Our court candidly would be crippled if those thousands of individuals were not assisted by Tzedek, if in fact we had to deal with them coming into our courthouse without that help. As far as pro bono work, using 2016 as an example, Tzedek clients were assisted by more than 1,200 volunteers who spent more than 60,000 pro bono hours assisting people in need. They have won landmark cases in low-income housing cases, both at the trial court and Supreme Court levels. They've been leading advocates in policy and litigation during the mortgage foreclosures crisis and continue to work on behalf of low-income workers in its employment rights project. Our judges know that when someone from Tzedek walks into our courtroom, there's going to be extremely high level of advocacy and efficacy. Recently, Tzedek developed a rapid response program committed to helping people with emergent needs, addressing really what's happening in our society today. The community was calling out with concerns as to the possibility of mass deportations. Tzedek stood up and provided a family preparedness workshop to address the worries of undocumented parents faced with the possibility of leaving behind their own children after being deported. The workshop provides clear and accurate guidance to the steps necessary to let their children stay if they have to. And it also deals with misconceptions that might happen in the community. In our advocacy for the branch, we constantly talk about the need to serve the vulnerable. It's the vulnerable who turn to Tzedek for assistance in the most important matters in their lives: their children, their parents, their homes, their livelihood. And for all of us that deal with general administration beyond committees, budget fights, rule changes, the work we do as judges come down to what happens in one courtroom with one judicial officer, with two individuals crying out for justice, for the right decision to be made. We need to provide the time and resources to those individuals so that they in fact do get justice. The only way that we can do that is with partners such as Tzedek. On behalf of all of our judicial officers, on behalf of everyone in this room, thank you for providing access. Thank you for providing the great work that you do. And thank you for providing justice in Los Angeles. So I'd like to bring up Terry Friedman and Jesse Kornberg on behalf of Tzedek. So I'm going to take a little bit more than my allotted time. I heard that it's Terry's birthday. So I'm not going to sing loudly. You're going to take over for me. Let's sing happy birthday to Terry. 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Terry. Happy birthday to you.
Oh my goodness. Too many birthdays at some point. Thank you so much. On behalf of the Tzedek staff and our pro bono attorneys and paralegals, the board that I'm privileged to chair, and our thousands of clients, it is with great gratitude that I accept this Distinguished Service Award honor bestowed upon Tzedek. I'm here today with the President and CEO of Tzedek, Jesse Kornberg, whose leadership and vision is mostly responsible for what we have accomplished. I want to thank the Chief Justice and the Judicial Council for selecting us to receive this award. I want to recognize the great staff of the Judicial Council and the Supreme Court for all of your hard and good work. And I think I want to thank Judge Buckley, although I'm going to maybe retract my appreciation. Your speech was great right up until the very end. Thank you very much, Dan. We are especially inspired to be recognized along with such an outstanding group of other honorees, and congratulations to all of you. For me in my life, professionally and personally, Tzedek has been one of the most meaningful parts. Professionally, I really got my career in public service started nearly 40 years ago when I worked as the executive director of Tzedek. And personally, because I worked at Tzedek, a beautiful young woman was willing to give me a chance. And she's now been my wife for the last 38 years, my wife, Elise Carl. Tzedek in Hebrew means house of justice. And though we've grown hugely in our 40-plus years, we're still guided by the founding principle embodied by that name. That's why we protected tenants during the rent increase and eviction crisis in our early years, in the 70s and 80s. It's why we've secured reparations and provided other vital legal services to Holocaust survivors across the country through our Holocaust Survivors Justice Network. It's why we've protected low-wage, mostly immigrant workers from wage theft and exploitation. Why we keep families together with the self-help conservatorship clinic that Judge Buckley talked about. It's why we serve the transgender community in Los Angeles in partnership with the Los Angeles LGBT Center to arrange for legal name change and gender marker changes and to secure health insurance and benefits. And most recently, why we've developed the Rapid Response Program so that parents who face the possibility of deportation, imagine that, can learn what to do to keep their children here, safe and secure. There are over 250,000 children in Los Angeles alone whose parents are undocumented, who are at risk today. What happens if their parents are removed from this country? Who's going to take care of them? Who's going to make sure they go to school? In just the few months since Jesse conceived and launched this program, we have provided services to over 20,000 individuals and families in Los Angeles facing this crisis. And this program is staffed primarily by well-trained volunteer attorneys. So Tzedek indeed is the house of justice. Our house, the Bet, is open to all. Our cause, the Judicial Council's cause, Tzedek, is access to justice. Led by our courageous Chief Justice, who speaks truth to power with dignity. And the Judicial Council and everyone in this room is dedicated to access to justice. And today, the challenge is huge, and it's unprecedented. We must keep our courtrooms open to all without fear. We must preserve the rule of law. The greatness of America is not a slogan. It's our historic allegiance to the principles of justice and equality. That and the traditions of their faith is what motivated Tzedek's founders to create a house where justice can be advanced. And for 40 plus years, we have served over hundreds of thousands of poor people, vulnerable people, the elderly of all backgrounds in Los Angeles, throughout California, and even across the nation. We've saved their homes, their jobs, their dignity, their liberty, and sometimes even their lives. Today, we are deeply proud to be recognized for this work and to be recognized by the leaders of the California judiciary, and especially by our Chief Justice. Together with you, Tzedek, the House of Justice, will continue our enduring mutual commitment to assure access to justice to all in our state. So thank you so much for recognizing our work. It is something that is of great meaning and importance to the hard-working staff and volunteers who make Tzedek possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you all for joining us in this celebration tonight, for those who have come from far and near to support and to honor our honorees. There's a lot of work that has been done. There's a lot of work to be done, but we are very fortunate in the state of California to have such distinguished public servants. So as we close and as we get ready for the 25th anniversary next year, please join me in welcoming Judge Freeman and Ms. Kornberg. Mr. Ogata. Justice Johnson. Judge Yu. And Judge Uhas. Congratulations to all.